Most people fail because they never decide. There comes a moment in every life where silence screams louder than noise. A moment not crowded by chaos but by clarity. A moment when you realize your life is not limited by your circumstances, your education, your past, or even your fears. It's limited by your indecision. Most people aren't defeated by failure. They're defeated by hesitation. They never lose the war because they never declare it. They sit on the sidelines of their own life, waiting for a signal that never comes, a permission slip that was never needed, a perfect moment that doesn't exist. And as the days roll by like silent thieves, they wonder, why am I stuck? Why does life feel like a loop I can't escape? It's not fate. It's not luck. It's the absence of a decision. The decision to burn the bridge. The decision to pursue the vision. The decision to leave behind the old you and never look back. You see, life doesn't bend for the indecisive. It doesn't reward the curious. It rewards the committed. And commitment only begins the moment you decide. Think about it. How many dreams died because someone said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many destinies were delayed because someone whispered, "I'm not ready yet"? Let me say it plain. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. And clarity begins with a decision. A decision that says, "This is who I am now. This is what I do. This is the mountain I climb, no matter how long it takes." Because until that line is drawn, life will hand you distractions. It will keep giving you reasons to stall, comfort to pacify you, comfort to paralyze you. And that's the trap most people never escape. They think their problem is a lack of opportunity, but the real problem is a lack of identity. Because every decision is an identity statement. When you decide, "I am disciplined," you stop negotiating with laziness. When you decide, "I am a creator," you stop waiting for approval. When you decide, "I am done playing small," the world begins to rearrange itself around your courage. But indecision is an open door for doubt. It whispers, "What if you fail? What if they judge you? What if this isn't the right time?" And so you wait. But the waiting room is where dreams go to die. History remembers those who decided, not those who had potential, not those who were liked, not those who almost went for it. It remembers the ones who moved, the ones who drew a line and said, "This is mine to do, this is mine to become." Think of Thomas Edison, 10,000 failures. He could have decided to quit at 1,000, at 5, at 8,000, but he had decided not to try, but to succeed, not to experiment, but to deliver. And when you decide on that level, failure becomes part of the plan, not the end of it. Or think of Abraham Lincoln, 8 losses before 1 win. He didn't hesitate, he didn't half commit, he decided, and then became the decision. That's what most people never understand. Success is not an outcome. It's a person you become through the act of deciding again and again, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when no one claps. So if you're stuck, ask yourself, where am I undecided? What part of me is still negotiating with the old me? Because indecision is not neutral. It is destructive. It drains your energy. It breeds anxiety. It paralyzes purpose. Clarity, on the other hand, is a weapon. It slices through the fog. It says, "This is what I'm building." And that voice, that declaration, has the power to move mountains. But you must choose it. Not once, every day. Discipline isn't about being strong. It's about being decisive. When the alarm goes off, your body says no. But your decision says yes, and the body obeys the decision. When you feel like quitting, your emotions scream, "Stop." But your decision whispers, "Keep going." And your actions follow the whisper. This is how champions are made, not by waiting for motivation, but by building a mindset where decisions outrank feelings. Because every day is a war between the version of you that wants to evolve and the version that wants to stay safe. And the only way the right version wins is if you decide ahead of time. There's no success without sacrifice, but you get to choose the sacrifice. Will you sacrifice growth for comfort? Will you sacrifice greatness for approval? Will you sacrifice your calling for convenience? Or will you decide right now that everything you've ever wanted begins on the other side of a firm, fearless, non-negotiable decision? This isn't a theory. It's a law. The law of life, the law of leadership, the law of creation. Nothing changes until you change your default mode. And the default for most people is hesitation. But your breakthrough begins the moment you override the default. You stop saying, "I don't know if I'm ready." You start saying readiness is a lie. I become ready by deciding. You stop saying what if it doesn't work. You start saying what if I make it work no matter what. That's the mindset that built every empire. That's the mindset that turns underdogs into icons. That's the mindset that magnetizes resources, people, energy, and timing, because the world responds to decisive energy. It moves out of the way for those who know where they're going and why they must get there. So if you've been drifting, if you've been drowning in analysis, if you've been dancing around the edge of your potential, stop, draw the line, declare the direction. Make the decision that your future self will thank you for, because 5 years from now, you'll either be living in the results of your decisions or the regret of your delays. You decide. You always did. You always will. Most people fail because they never decide. The most dangerous place to be in life is not failing. It's floating. It's the gray zone where you're not drowning, but you're not swimming either. You're surviving, but not living. And how do people end up there? They never decide. They never say, this is where I'm going. This is what I'll sacrifice. This is who I must become. They dabble. They drift. They say things like, I'm trying, I'm figuring it out, maybe one day. But maybe is the vocabulary of mediocrity. Trying is the mask of indecision. Because deep down, they're afraid that if they choose something and fail, it will define them. But here's the truth no one teaches you. Indecision is still a decision. It's just a decision to let fear lead. And fear has never built anything worth remembering. Fear has never written a book, never launched a movement, never carved a legacy into time. Courage did that. Conviction did that. Decision did that. The world doesn't need more people who are interested. It needs people who are invested. People who say, I've burned the boats, I'm not visiting this dream, I'm living it. That's what the greats understood. When Carnegie built his empire, he didn't ask for permission. He declared his intention. When Oprah transformed pain into power, she didn't wait for applause. She decided her voice mattered. When Jobs stood on that stage with the first iPhone, it wasn't a presentation. It was a declaration of a world he had already committed to building in his mind. You see, every world-changing move began with a private decision. A moment where someone chose to stop waiting and start becoming. And that moment is available to you, right now. You don't need more motivation. You need a decision so deep, so firm, so rooted in who you are becoming. That no doubt can shake it. No failure can break it. No delay can drown it. You must stop asking the world to validate your dream. The world is waiting for you to validate it with action. Because indecision is not a lack of information, it's a lack of commitment. You already know what you want, you already know what needs to happen, but as long as you delay the decision, you delay the destiny. And make no mistake, destiny doesn't wait forever. There's a window. A sacred space where your passion, your pain, and your purpose collide. It opens when you're ready to decide. It closes when you talk yourself out of it. So don't just flirt with greatness. Marry it. Don't just think about the life you want. Declare it. Commit to it. Bleed for it. Because clarity is not something you find, it's something you create, moment by moment, with every decision. You decide how you respond to failure. You decide what your mornings look like. You decide who you allow in your circle. You decide whether your past defines you or refines you. And with every decision, you reinforce an identity, either the identity of the person you've always been or the person you were born to become. So I ask you, with everything on the line, who have you decided to be? Not what's your goal, not what's your plan, not what's your vision board. Who are you at your core when no one's watching? When you're tired, scared, and alone? That's where destiny is forged, in the dark, in the quiet. In the choice no one sees but everyone feels when you walk into a room. Because when you decide with your soul, your energy changes. People can feel your certainty. Opportunities respond to your frequency. Obstacles shrink in the presence of your resolve. And here's the part they don't teach in school. The world doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you refuse to live without. So what are you willing to suffer for? What are you willing to sacrifice for? What vision haunts you at 3 a.m. and reminds you that you were made for more? Don't ignore that voice. Don't negotiate with that fire. Feed it, fuel it, follow it. And let every action, every step, every breath be a testament to your decision. This is not about hustle. This is not about proving anything to anyone. This is about honoring your own potential. This is about making your future self proud. This is about deciding, finally, to show up for the life that's been calling your name since day one. You weren't born to wonder what could have been. You were born to declare what will be. You were born to speak with conviction, to move with purpose, to love with depth, to create with obsession, to decide and never look back. So here's your moment. The crowd is gone. The noise has stopped. It's just you and the mirror and the decision. Do you go back to the version of you that hesitates, doubts, delays? Or do you step into the fire and become the force, the voice, the leader, the example, the revolution? This isn't poetry. This is your life. And your life is waiting for one thing, a decision that says, I'm done hoping, I'm done hesitating, I'm done dancing with fear, I've decided, and I will not be moved. Let the world hear you before you ever speak. Let your energy say what your words can't. Let your decision become the thunder that breaks open your future. Because in the end, most people fail because they never decide. But you just did.